It's a bit scary for opponents because it's like, where do you target this player? Because the serve already gets him God knows how many 3 points, and his forehand is just huge. And then, if he's pushing you about with the forehand and he can just knock a little drop shot in, it makes it pretty difficult for anyone.
If he had the steely determination of, say, Murray or any of the top players, or any of the top 4, for example, that solid work ethic and that sheer determination, that grind that Djokovic has for everything in his life, I think he would undoubtedly be world number 1 right now. He's made it very clear that he doesn't want to put anything in his body that he doesn't feel is necessary. So I don't see him. I see him then, therefore, not playing at the US Open.
Welcome back to the Getting a Grip Tennis podcast. Hello, Merlin. Nice little wave.
Hello there.
You're blending in with the wall, so it's sort of like a floating head this time.
I was going for an all-white sort of thing. You know how there's that green screen and you wear a green T-shirt? It also works for cream walls and cream T-shirts.
Right. Well, you're not supposed to wear a green T-shirt, but... yeah.
No.
What have we got to talk about? We've got Queens, obviously. Berrettini, just full-on boss mode. Pun intended there. Obviously, he's got one of the best sponsors around, Hugo Boss. I mean, not many people can say that, can they?
Only an Italian could have Boss as a sponsor.
Yeah, or Armani, which is just just lovely. And then also, we've got obviously Halle's just finished as well. The big tournaments, the ATP 500 tournaments. We have got there is like a 250 tournament going on this week in Mallorca, which I didn't actually know about. We probably won't really touch much on that. And then we've got some news about Novak and his sort of Grand Slam hopes later down the line, post Wimbledon, as well as whether Nadal is going to be fit for Wimbledon and whether he's actually going to play Wimbledon. Let's start off with Queens. Obviously, the main man in town, Berrettini, with the looks and the big serve and knocking everyone out. What have you made of how he's been playing this week? Obviously, he beat Murray in Stuttgart, sadly for you, last week, and he's just continued on his merry way as if he's never been out.
It was a close affair. Stuttgart was a close affair. Obviously, a little bit sad about Murray's abdominal injury, and the only time we'll mention it today is, who knows if it means he'll be fit for Wimbledon. But no, Berrettini is very much the man of the hour at the moment. He very much could be a hot favourite to win Wimbledon as well, because he's got all of those elements of a grass court specialist that loves that big serve, big forehand, and just a glimmer of some lovely net play as well to make those points a lot shorter. I'm excited to see what he's going to bring. He's just playing very, very well. There was a little flutter earlier on in Queens. We didn't know if he was going to make it through a match where it was very, very close. Do we remember the opponent for that match where he nearly took a tumble?
Oh, I was watching the match as well.
Yeah. We were talking about it. I'm just seeing if I can get your memory.
Really going to annoy me now. Do you actually know who it is?
Well, maybe I do, maybe I don't.
Yes. It was Dennis Kudla.
Indeed.
The guy who beat Murray as well.
The guy who beat Murray in the Surbiton Open on his way. Obviously, this is a bit more of a qualifier in an early tournament, but still very important to know that, the probably one of the closest strung matches during Queens was between two individuals who have both recently won grass court tournaments. So again, it looks like we've got some pretty solid favourites, some people who have definitely hit some form on the grass. But no, I think Berrettini is looking very, very solid, especially coming back from an injury as well. That's quite impressive.
Yeah, maybe he's had some extra nerves fit in his hand or something, because he seems to have some extra silky feel even on drop shots. You don't expect to see that much of on grass, but he just it's amazing for a guy who's 6'5" or something to have that kind of feel, which is it's a bit scary for opponents, because it's like, where do you target this player? Because the serve already gets him God knows how many 3 points, and his forehand is just huge. And then, if he's pushing you about with the forehand and he can just knock a little drop shot in, it makes it pretty difficult for anyone really. He's definitely up there as one of the main favourites. You always kind of have to put Novak up there, but he never plays like a proper competitive tournament leading in. So it's just like, well, yeah, he's going to play an exhibition and he'll be fine.
He doesn't go for the same routine that Nadal does before the French Open. Let's put it that way. He doesn't do all those warm-up matches and those tournaments and rely on those wins to give him the confidence to go into that French all happy and everything's going to work out perfectly. Novak just feels quite comfortable, I think, practicing and then showing up at Wimbledon and being Novak's best self, which has often worked for him in the past, of course.
Yeah, I thought there may be a stronger chance of it happening this time, given that he said he got knocked out of the French early. He got knocked out of the quarterfinals, so maybe he wouldn't have needed so much kind of like time off. But I guess you've got that routine, and it kind of works for you in previous times. You just stick with it. As we know, tennis players are quite superstitious at the best of times.
Very habitual. Yep.
So yeah, don't fix what ain't broke, I suppose. Yeah, and obviously the other tournament running parallel to this is the Halle Open. Usually Federer's stronghold, but obviously he is still out injured, so he wasn't there this week.
Now we're on to your favourite player?
My favourite player, yes.
Yeah. Obviously.
We had a new winner this time. Hubert, I'm going to say it right. Hubert or Herbert?
Hubert is fine.
Hubert Hurkacz. And it was his first grass court title, actually, which was a little bit surprising, given, again, the guy is like, he's a big server and he's got some decent ground strokes on him. But yeah, he come through some fairly tough matches. But again, Medvedev was the opponent in the final, as he was in the previous week at where it was in Holland. And he just kind of, again, made it seem fairly straightforward, which it shouldn't really be against someone of Medvedev's class. But obviously, when you're in rhythm, especially on grass, it can be a bit demoralising for opponents.
Momentum very much tends to stay with a player on grass. As you say, it's quite hard to snap back and change that momentum very quickly because, again, you can't play those sort of, call them neutralising, like those defending balls, those ones that sort of reset the momentum even of a point, where you're putting it high over someone because, a bounce on grass isn't going to sit very high. Like it would say on a clay with some topspin or on a hard court. So, yeah, like I say, it's quite hard to shift momentum. We know this from league matches on horrible AstroTurf, which is it's sort of like grass, but it's not the proper way to do it. And again, like you don't necessarily need to be the best player there by any standard to get some rhythm on the grass that works quite well. So, yeah, I think it's quite interesting. It's quite impressive. With Hurkacz as well. I don't think he's entirely a different player to Berrettini. We're looking at very similar styles dominating at the moment. Again, it's that big serve, bit of height to the person, and just enough touch and net play in order to finish things off when needed. And to be quite honest, Hurkacz, it's been a long time coming for him to take centre stage a little bit. We know he's a talented player. We could say that for most of the top 20, to be fair, that you have to be to get there. But no, like there is something special about him. I'm not quite sure it's something special in the same way we talk about Alcaraz as we have on the clay. But no, I'm very excited to see. I'd be very excited to see Hurkacz and Berrettini as a showdown, hopefully at Wimbledon. I think that would be a very tight match.
It would be a tight match. I don't know how entertaining it would be because it might just be serve, return, out, serve, ace, serve, ace.
Brings to mind the Isner Anderson of 2019, I believe.
But yeah, he's playing really well, and he actually came through some pretty tough matches. He beat Auger-Aliassime and Kyrgios in the semi-final in 3 sets. It's just long levers, isn't it? Really, that's what it's all about.
That's another player I'm kind of slightly excited about because you can never discount Kyrgios out of anything because there's so much raw talent there. Even if his head's not completely there on the day, like he can just pull out a shot that, he has no right to hit, but there it is. So I think, like I say, his contribution at Wimbledon will probably be quite interesting as well. I'm predicting a deep run from him because he looks pretty comfortable on the grass at the moment. But like I say, it depends which Nick turns up. And hopefully it's a fairly balanced one.
Is it a Kyrgios that actually cares about winning or just putting on a show? It's always like it's always like a battle between the two. It's like winning but entertaining the crowd, and then he starts getting wound up by the crowd, and it's just like, oh, that's
Exactly.
a recipe for disaster.
I must maintain that I think Nick Kyrgios is one of these players that if he had the steely determination of say Murray or any of the top players, or any of the top four, for example, that solid work ethic and that sheer determination, that grind that Djokovic has for everything in his life. I think he would undoubtedly be world number one right now, because there's something too special about Nick Kyrgios almost in terms of the talent, but unfortunately it's just not followed up necessarily with the same. He doesn't look like the same player as a lot of the top guys getting towards the top. He almost looks like he's gotten there and he's not quite sure what to do with it. He didn't expect to get there or something like that. So yeah.
Yeah, because obviously, yeah, like he burst on the scene when he beat Nadal at Wimbledon in 2014 or whatever it was, and then yeah, everyone started to get excited, and then here we are, like 8 years later, and it's kind of what's happened. Like, yeah, he's won a few decent tournaments, but it's like
I don't want to say what's happened, because he's still had a pretty good career. He's always featured in these big tournaments, and he's always made these deep runs. And I'll be honest, I didn't expect to talk about Kyrgios today, but I just think that there's something so incredibly talented about that individual when it comes to tennis. And again, I don't want to say it's a shame, because he's still top of the world. He's just not number one, as you could say. But it is almost a shame that he doesn't have that sort of determination and that grind that you see from the legends, effectively.
Yeah, I think I've just checked his record. I think that is possibly the best he's done at Wimbledon, was that quarterfinal. From what I can see. Yeah, I mean, he's not an opponent you want to come up against anyway, because if he's on,
you don't know what you're going to get.
No, and if he is on, there's not much you can do about it, is there? Obviously, we are in the final week before Wimbledon, and we sort of touched on Djokovic and his routine of not playing a competitive tournament. So he is actually going to be playing in what I believe is called the Hurlingham Classic, which is basically just like an exhibition in London. Very posh place, having looked at it. It's where the Duchess of Cambridge takes her kids for tennis lessons, apparently. So that should tell you all you need to know.
Okay.
There's some big names, though, involved. I think Nadal's going to be involved. I think Alcaraz is also involved. And maybe some top names on the women's side as well. So they're this is like a final little tune-up, which makes me think that Nadal is actually going to play Wimbledon, because obviously we heard murmurs that it might happen, but you never really know. Like, he has missed it in the past, obviously not his favourite surface, and obviously the foot injury, but it sounds like they're finding a way to deal with it. I'm guessing it's not the same kind of injection that he had for the French, because I don't think that's something he'd want to have again. It looks like he might actually be ready and raring to go. How do you see him also being able to make quite a deep run, given that grass is a little bit slower these days, and even in recent years he's had quite a couple of decent runs. Obviously he lost to Federer in the semis, I think, of 2019, and he lost to Djokovic 2018 semis. So he could be another threat. Is the calendar Grand Slam on in the most unlikely of circumstances?
If he's fit, I'm pretty sure I would back him to win it. If he's there and he's fit, then I would back him to win it. Because, again, you've got to look at Nadal as someone who's thinking, right, now I have to do all I can, whilst I can, to extend the records in my favour. Because Djokovic has got more time left. And I'm not saying that Nadal has got no time left. And that would be quite foolish for me to rule him out in the next sort of year or two, because, people did that, 4 years ago, and look where he is now. The point being is, I think he's looking at his own career and thinking, okay, well, if I'm getting these injuries more regularly, I'm not going to be wanting to play all of these tournaments all the time. And making an impact at something like Wimbledon, again, without the ranking points, I don't think he really cares too much about that. I think the world of tennis has made it quite clear that ranking points mean pretty much diddly squat. when it comes to whether or not you're going to play Wimbledon. Wimbledon is so much bigger than some ranking points for starters. But again, I think if you do see Nadal play, he is on hot form. You know, he may not have played a warm-up grass tournament except for this potential exhibition, but you know, he's just won the French. So, you know, you can't say, oh well, there's not really much chance of him winning it then, or oh, I only reckon he'll get about halfway through, maybe into week 2, sort of thing. It's a tournament he's won before, and it's definitely something I can see him winning again.
Yeah, I think with Wimbledon, if you're gonna take Nadal out, well, it's probably the same for any Grand Slam really. You got to take him out in those first few rounds, because then once he really finds a rhythm, it's like he's getting to the semis at least, and he's going to just
once he's comfortable on the court, and the opponents aren't, let's put it, special, then because if he's in a rhythm at Wimbledon, you know, no matter how much Berrettini or Hurkacz like the grass, I would still back Nadal to beat them.
Yeah, and also, another player I'm interested to see, as I'm sure everyone is to see how Alcaraz kind of adjusts to the grass, because obviously it looks like his game is quite suited to clay, because that's sort of the surface he mainly grew up on, kind of, you know, big wind up, big shots. But his serve is actually pretty decent, and he's got a good touch and feel, so there's a lot of elements there that can transfer over. It's just, can he find like some consistency on the forehand when he hasn't got quite as much time to kind of load up on it? So I'll be interested to see how he goes. Do you see him, obviously this isn't the main preview, but do you see him making the second week of Wimbledon maybe?
It's early in his career, and he's already made a serious impact this year. If that drive is still there, you know, after all of that, you know, mental expenditure, let's put it that way, then yeah, I think he could. But if it's not his favourite surface, and I would say that clay and grass are quite dissimilar, they're not very similar in many ways. I wouldn't see him making it past the third round. But I mean, I say that he's one of these people that could be, you know, he could be well adjusted. We haven't really seen evidence of it. So asking me to predict it is something that is quite hard to do, given that there's not really any data to actually inform such a decision.
Yes, true. I think when I looked at last year, he lost to Medvedev in like the first or second round. But like he literally looks like a different human now.
He will be seeded better now, because obviously he's in a top position. So maybe that will impact the people he comes up against and how much more easily he can make it through those first few rounds. So coming up against Medvedev, who, you know, we haven't really spoken about him on the grass yet, but, you know, he could be a serious contender as well, being he is number 1 in the world and all. But this is very much the point. Like, he could make a deeper run, Alcaraz, simply because he's coming up against weaker people.
Unless he draws one of those dangerous wild cards, like a certain Andy Murray, or I think Nick Kyrgios might be a wild card as well, you know.
Oh, really? I thought he was more highly seeded, actually, Nick Kyrgios.
He's been a wild card in quite a few of these ATP tournaments.
Well, so, you can see why they give him a wild card, because he's good value for money.
He is literally a wild card. Yeah,
he's made deep runs, and he is the definition of a wild card. Entertainment as well.
The other main kind of news this week, at least on the men's side, is the news that Novak's most likely not going to be playing in the US Open because he hasn't had a vaccine. This sounds a bit familiar.
Yeah.
What do we think to this?
Well, the first thing I'm going to say is well done for them giving him a nice forewarning about the situation.
It's the only thing that's nice about it.
He is able to make decisions ahead of time. And obviously, as a scientist, I'm going to say I hope that decision is that he gets a vaccine, or more distinctly, the 2 vaccines required. But I don't see this being the case. He's made it very clear that he doesn't want to put anything in his body that he doesn't feel is necessary. So I don't see him. I see him then, therefore, not playing at the US Open. It's a shame, but it's his own personal decision. And unfortunately, a BBC interviewer has already asked the questions, are you really going to let what is effectively what is effectively an anti-vax sentiment, which is an opinion. And I don't know if it's a political or a personal opinion. He maintains a personal opinion, but you never really know. I'm going to go with the personal, but are you really going to let a personal opinion like that stop you becoming the greatest tennis player of all time? And he said yes. So there you go.
I suppose the counter argument would be he's like one of the healthiest, fittest people on the planet, at least for his age. So
freak of nature. Yep.
What kind of like a risk does he actually pose to just general like members of the public? And he's not even going to be in contact with many people anyway. That would be the counter argument.
You say that though, but the people who are most infectious, I mean, my own research has shown, this is actually something that I do for anyone listening now, like research into sort of COVID and the genetics relating to it. But I've actually, like we've shown previously, that you can't tell who these people are that are the most infectious, and you can't tell how long a person is going to be infectious for unless you're like testing them every day with a specifically different test, not the classic tests like a lateral flow, which doesn't indicate these things very well. So again, like, it's an unknown quantity, and at the same time, a competition like the US Open or a country like the United States of America, they're thinking, well, here's a political statement, we have to be clear on this. And I won't be surprised if Biden was one of the key, or at least the administration was a key element in making that decision. Much like banning Russian and Belarusian players from Wimbledon.
Except for the fact that I think Russian and Belarusian players are going to be allowed to play in the US Open.
Yeah, no, they'll be allowed to play, which strikes me as increasingly odd, given surely they... Anyway, I'm not going to go into that.
It's just crazy, isn't it? It's from, like, politics, like, rarely ever being involved in at least tennis. Now this year is just like a whole can of worms just opened.
It's not a good colour for sport. It's not a good colour for sport, and I really wish that it didn't sort of mould together very well. If anything, sport can bring people politically and from different cultures and opinions more together, and that's what it should be used for, not as a divisive tactic. So unfortunately, shame on the governments and the governing bodies of everything making decisions with political views. Yeah,
it's like a mild form of, well, not sports washing, but it's kind of like, it's almost the way like Russia used the Winter Olympics or whatever in Sochi or whatever it was to kind of promote Russia. This is just like a smaller scale of that, but it can show you how easy it is for them to get involved and to use it for that kind of purpose, which is just sad, really.
Again, I don't mind too much if it's a positive purpose, a generic positive purpose. But yeah, this is it again. When is that
murky
decision?
Waters? Yeah,
exactly.
Anyway, let us know, like, in the comments or whatever, whether you agree with Novak's decision or the government's decision, or where you sit on this whole politics tennis kind of.
It's a very tricky three-dimensional spectrum, and increasingly important that people obviously have opinions and we share these opinions, but it's just obviously making sure that these opinions are always respectful as well, which unfortunately I don't think a lot of people manage very well.
The return of tennis trivia, and we are here. We are graced by the presence of quizzical greatness, I think. Was it 5 out of 5 last time? I can't remember.
It was 5 out of 5. I think it was 5 out of 5 last time, or it was 4 out of 5. Yeah, I think it was 5 actually. I'm going to do the Leighton Hewitt and move my shirt about all the time. Or Andy Roddick.
Okay, you do that. You enjoy that.
Yeah.
Okay, so first question. Obviously, we've Berrettini is the name on most people's lips at the moment, having won back-to-back grass court titles, and obviously one of the key components of his game is having a rather fast serve, shall we say. So my question to you, which you could probably guess from what I've just said, is what is Berrettini's fastest ever serve recorded in miles per hour? So your options are 136, 140, 144, or 146. So I'm bringing tougher questions this time.
You know what? I thought I'd get a higher option.
Really interesting.
I genuinely thought I'd get a higher option because I know he's a big server and I've seen big numbers out of him. So I thought you'd throw in maybe like a 150 to tempt me towards that because I'm pretty sure he's made something like. Because I know, again, on the grass, people make some fast speeds, fast serves. I know I've seen Isner and Anderson hit bigger serves than 146. I'm going to go with 146 for Berrettini because to me that sounds about right for his fastest serve. Because he's not the fastest in the world, but he's up there.
Well, that is correct. Yes, well done. There he is, Mr. Logic in the building, underway. Yeah. It was actually, it wasn't on grass where he set that. It was at the Madrid Open last year. Obviously, it's at altitude, so that kind of helps.
Yes. Yeah, that's a key place that you can get some speeds up.
Yeah, I seem to remember when Murray played Raonic in the Wimbledon final, the guy served like that pace and Murray just got it back on the point.
Yeah. No, I do remember that. I think it was like 148 miles an hour and Murray just punts it back, wins the point. Again, though, you don't expect people to get that sort of speed back.
No, that's mad.
Like, most of us can't even handle 100.
Yeah. Anyway, number 2. Okay, so obviously, Queen's and Wimbledon are two of the most well-known grass court tournaments. It's often seen as a big accolade to win Queen's and then go on to win Wimbledon. So my question for you is, how many times in the Open era has the winner of Queen's Club gone on to win Wimbledon in the same year?
Ooh,
and your options are 5, 8, 10 or 14.
That is a spread.
So it's just how many times it's been done. So obviously it could have been done more than once by the same player. A certain player that you like.
So
obviously.
Just go through the numbers again for me.
5, 8, 10 and 14.
Oh, I don't think many people have done it. Because often, I do remember like Queen's often, like back when I used to watch it all the time when I was a kid, the winner of Queen's never ended up winning Wimbledon. Oh, it's tough. And we can't add people. So, and again, we got to remember, Federer won quite a few for a while, and he never played Queen's because he liked Halle.
True.
I know Andy Murray's done it a couple of times. In fact, maybe two times he's won Wimbledon. I don't feel like the higher numbers are tempting me, but 5 sounds too low. You say 5, 8, 10 or 14?
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to go with 8. I'm not sure. 8 or 10 sounds about right to me. If you'd given me 9, I'd have probably said it. I'm going to say 8.
So the answer is 10. So you are incorrect. Get a grip. You were so close. I thought you were going to just sneak it again there at the end. So at least I think it's 10. It's at least 10. So from what I found, it was McEnroe's done it twice. Jimmy Connors has done it once. Boris Becker's done it once. Sampras did it twice.
Okay.
Hewitt did it. Nadal did it once.
Did it. Oh, yeah.
And then obviously Murray did it twice.
So
Nadal did play Queen's a couple of times. Obviously,
that has happened in the past. Okay.
Yeah. So maybe surprising actually how many times it's been done.
Interesting.
Okay, number 3 then. So I like a winning streak question. So here's another one. The longest grass court winning streak by a men's player was set by Roger Federer between 2003 and 2008. But how many matches did he win in that streak?
Ooh.
So
I think I might know this.
Your options are 55, 61, 65, or 68.
I'm going to say 65 because I think I knew the answer and I think it's that. So I'm either going to look really clever or really dumb. 65.
Well, it's funny you should say that That is correct. Yes. Well done.
God.
How'd you know that? Like, what?
I did that in a quiz a couple of weeks ago, I think, and then I got the question wrong.
Oh God.
Yeah, I got there in the end.
65. I don't know how you know these stats. Yes, it was ended by Rafa Nadal in the 2008 Wimbledon final.
Of course it
Tears.
was. Of course it was.
Yeah. That's a very sad day for me as a 12-year-old Roger fan.
Yeah.
As the light was
65
fading.
consecutive matches on grass. Yeah, that's quite a record.
Okay, so what are we on? 2 from 3? I think 2 from 3.
2 from 3.
Question 4. Very simply. Who famously coined the phrase, grass is for cows? So, your options are Yannick Noah, Conchita Martinez, Ivan Lendl, or Manolo Santana.
I'm not even sure who I know the last person is.
I'm sure one of the courts or the stadiums are named after him at that Madrid Open.
You've thrown in a name there that I don't really know, because I thought I kind of knew a bit about tennis. So either you've put in a random name that doesn't mean anything, or that's the answer. I know other people have said it, because I've heard the expression before, but I didn't know who first coined it.
Yeah, this is the original, the OG.
See, it's just out there enough that it's making me think that that's... I'm going to say that's the answer. I've had a few good fives. If I'm wrong, I'm wrong.
Well, which one,
I'm going to say that's the answer.
What's your answer?
Manuel Santana.
That is correct, yes. Well done, yeah. Oh, God.
Okay, well, when did he win? What did he win? Why did he exist? I need to know this stuff.
He actually said this, well, supposedly he said this after winning the US Open in 1965. So he favoured.
Oh, right. So he
favoured artificial surfaces, but actually he then went on to win Wimbledon the next year. So
cool.
Whatever. Guess he's a cow then.
Cheeky guy.
So 3 from 4. Here we go. It's to keep that sort of 80% plus record. So, number 5. Again, very simply. What is the name of the particular type of grass found at Wimbledon? Your options are as follows. All England and croquet grass, 100% perennial ryegrass, lawn tennis grass, or green ground bio cements official.
What on earth is that last one? Is this just like grass-like surfaces? I mean, the only one that you mentioned there that was remotely actually grass was the perennial ryegrass. So I'm going to say the perennial ryegrass because I believe that's what it became now. And previously it used to be combinations of different types of grass. Anyway.
That is correct. Well done. There we go. 4 out of 5. Yeah. Not too shabby, that is.
Thank you kindly.
Yeah, I don't really... You could have pretty much narrowed that down, couldn't you? I mean, ryegrass.
Can you just say the last option again? For me,
I don't want to. Oh no, it is actually a thing. Yeah.
Is it a type of fake grass?
Some kind of seed, I guess, for some kind of plant. I don't know.
Right.
So it isn't an official thing.
To be fair though, the types of grass do have some weird names. You know. Perennial ryegrass makes sort of sense, but I'm pretty sure the other one was because I know it used to be a combination. And I'm not quite sure what the combination is because they used to need something to soften it out, which actually ended up making it faster than it currently is. That's why they switched to the 100% perennial ryegrass. But I think it was something like red fescue grass or something like that. No. Mm-hmm. Creeping red fescue grass or something like that. It was like a weird name, but yeah. But if anyone could tell us the combination, I would be very curious to know.
Yeah, maybe the centre court groundsman's listening in, and he can tell us.
Who knows?
Yeah.
Who knows?
That is, yeah. They did it. Did they not do it to slow it down, or was it just to kind of minimise the wear on the court? What was it for?
Oh, that's a point. Maybe that is the reason. I thought
Pushing
there was a
that.
combination effect. So I thought there was a little bit of both, but yeah, maybe the reducing the wear as well. Maybe
Yeah.
one type of grass is stronger than other types of grass. I'm afraid for all of our listeners, my expertise on the grass court has ended at this point. I have nothing left to give.
It must have been something to do with the wear of the courts, because it used to wear really badly around the baseline, I seem to remember. And now it doesn't seem to be quite as much of an issue. But maybe it's also just to make it, harder.
I thought
in
it was to
general.
make it slower so that servers couldn't just like wash everyone away all the time.
Yeah, maybe. Who knows? Any horticulturalists in the comments, let us know what the situation
Sure, there are
is.
some. I'm sure there are some.
All right. There we go then. 4 out of 5. Keeps that kind of solid reputation going, despite some quirky questions. And
Yeah, they were interesting. I like the questions though.
Yeah,
Good.
not bad. Well, I'm sure there'll be some more grass court themed ones in the next one when we look to preview the start of Wimbledon, of course. The exhibition event that is Wimbledon now. But obviously everyone's still massively interested. I'll be heading to Wimbledon on Monday, so I'm looking forward to that. Maybe you see Berrettini
nice.
or someone like that on court 1. That'd be exciting.
Yeah, it'd be nice to catch someone.
But yeah, let us know your thoughts again, on like the whole Novak thing, and maybe some early suggestions for dark horses and stuff for Wimbledon. Let us know. And obviously follow on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, on YouTube, like, share, and subscribe. And we will see you in the next one.